I hate the Skate 3 soundtrack. Okay, hate is a strong word. More so, dislike. I dislike the Skate 3 soundtrack. To rank all 3 Skate games that I have played based on their soundtracks alone, at the top would be Skate 2, coming in second would be Skate 1, and still making the podium, but coming in last, Skate 3. Now, for all you weirdos who actually played Skate It, I learned in recent years that Skate It and Skate 2 share a similar soundtrack. Out of the 23 songs in the Skate It soundtrack, there are a grand total of 19 songs that Skate It shares with Skate 2, meaning there are only 4 original songs in that soundtrack. 5 if you want to count the iOS version. Since Skate It and Skate 2 share a very similar soundtrack, you can make the argument that I would place it at second and knocking Skate 3 off the podium. But I'm not. Skate It is not a main title game, so I'm going to give it a 1.5. Now that you know my rankings, allow me to explain how I came to this conclusion. Does anyone remember T. Martin? Mr. Tips and Tricks guy? Or Let's Play guy because he's more active as a Let's Player than a COD guru. Anyways, I can't remember which video it was from, maybe a Q&A, but he tells a personal story. And it's a personal story I can relate to. He tells us a story about his favorite Call of Duty of all time, which is World at War. After the grand success of Modern Warfare in 2007, how can anyone like World at War more than Modern Warfare? World at War is not a bad game, full stop. But as time goes on, more people seem to express their love to Modern Warfare over World at War. Yet, Mr. Martin doesn't. He claims that your first exposure to anything in the media, sports, travel, anything, your first experience would more or less be your favorite. As a kid being exposed to sports, let's say you were watching baseball and a pivotal moment happened in the game. Something grand, a home run, a stolen base,
a 1-0 deficit. Ricky goes, a pitch taken, he's going to have it. He does.
a triple play.
Third base, 1 there, 2 there, and a triple play.
Any of these moments would have a great impact on your young, impressionable mind. You can like other sports, such as basketball, football, soccer, hockey. But your favorite sport of all time would most likely be baseball, because of that critical moment you remembered as a kid. And for Mr. Tips and Tricks, his first impression to Call of Duty was Modern Warfare. Now, wouldn't that go against the whole example I just created? Yes. But this is just the first part of the argument. The second part, he argues, is longevity. The time you spent playing your first game can contribute to your favorability of said game. Let's Play Man only played Modern Warfare in the later part of the yearly COD cycle, only playing a couple months rather than a whole year. So when World at War came out, he played it from beginning to end of the COD cycle, making it his favorite COD of all time. Being able to make more memories with World at War than Modern Warfare is the reason why World at War is on top of Modern Warfare. Now, this is where I come in. I played Skate 1 as my first experience to the franchise. Well, it really wasn't much of a franchise then, because Skate 1 was the only game to play, besides Skate It. But Skate 1 came out in 2007. I didn't start playing the game until the later months of 2008, and it wasn't until a few months later where Skate 2 hit store shelves. Yes, I listened to the Skate 1 soundtrack during my first experience with the game, but I also didn't get the full 16-month experience like I did with Skate 2. I played Skate 2 from beginning to the end of its life cycle. The end being the release of Skate 3, which is in May of 2010. I made more memories in Skate 2 than Skate 1 while having the soundtrack playing at full blast. I could extend this convo away from Skate in general and just talk about soundtracks. While I do recognize, for the most part, every song from every Skate game, I tend to be surprised when I hear one of the songs out in the wild, whether it's on the radio, someone else has it on a playlist, or it was a clip that was shared on Twitter. There are only 3 soundtracks I can name on the top of my head that I know from heart. Not that I could sing all the songs and know all the words, because I can't, but I will know what song it is from which soundtrack. The first 2 are from a genre-defying video part expressing freeride moto culture in the 90s, Crusty Demons of Dirt, specifically 3 and 4. For those are the only 2 that I have physical copies of on VHS. The third being If you haven't played SSX3, it is such a vibe. From awesome Uber tricks to massive airs and a banger soundtrack, it gave my 8-year-old self a sense of euphoria. Just like my experience with Skate, my experience with SSX was very similar. Being exposed to SSX through SSX Tricky, I only played it a couple times at a cousin's house. It wasn't until I got my own PlayStation that I wanted SSX for myself. Long story short, I accidentally bought SSX3 instead of SSX Tricky. Fun fact, a few months ago, SSX3 turned 20 years old. God, I'm getting old. This whole video is about soundtracks, and I have yet to mention one song in any of the games that I've mentioned. So let's get into that. SSX3 is full of music from rap, 2000s alternative rock, electronica, and a couple songs from drum and bass. Each playable character representing a genre of music. Simon representing a punk rock scene, Vigo having this EU club scene aesthetic, Kaori with her Japanese pop idol flair, and Mac, who is the embodiment of everything cool about hip-hop. We also have Griff.
Oh, crap.
No, not that Griff. This one, who's actually Shaun White. Let me explain. This game came out in 2003. Have you seen what Shaun White looks like in 2003? The resemblance is uncanny. Mac, being my all-time favorite character from SSX, brings all the hip-hop vibes to the game. I look at him and think of Who's Who from Dilated Peoples. Specifically, when the instrumental plays as it shows the scoreboard with me at the top dominating all the other CPUs. Other memories I have with the game is listening to Black Eyed Peas with Labor Day while holding massive airs in the Junction Halfpipe event, being exposed to Yellowcard for the first time as I raced to the bottom of Peak 2's Intimidator with N.W.A, feeling groovy in Metro City while hearing Do Your Thing by Basemnet Jaxx, learning a bit of Spanish with Muisc by Kinky at Happiness Jam, and bro, y'all remember this clip?
Let's go!
When this meme was making its rounds on the internet, I immediately was brought back to the R&B freestyle event. I have core memories with each song in this soundtrack, and yeah, there are some songs that I don't like, such as No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age. No, not that one. I'm talking about the one that's remixed by Unkle, where it made me feel like I had to hurry up and finish the run before the song ended, even though I'm in a freestyle event and I can take as long as I want, and stop rushing me! So yeah, SSX3, very nostalgic. But what's more nostalgic were the other two soundtracks that I mentioned prior, which honestly I could just combine them into one. Crusty Demons of Dirt had songs full of rock and metal, really sung the counterculture grunge of the 90s. These two films exposed me to artists such as Offsping, Agent Orange, Metallica,
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
and Rob Zombie. Certain songs that stick out to me from these films were Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, a classic in the rock genre, Stubborn by Censored, just for the way they scream, Opium by Moonspell, who sounds like a vampire that got annoyed that you entered his domain, Umbabarauma, I believe I pronounced that right, by Soulfky, a Brazilian salsa tune made into a heavy metal cover, Bloudhound Gang with Kiss Me Where It Smells Funny. And just like the title suggests, it's a funny song, just in a weird sense. And if that band name sounds familiar, that's because they also made this.
So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel.
I couldn't believe it either. And finally, Clean Cut American Kid by Repute, in which the film uses the song to document the early life of Travis Pastrana. You know, Travis Pastrana, Mr. Double Backflip, Mr. Aussie Roll, Mr. Jump Out of a Plane with No Parachute, Mr. Roll 8 million times in a rally car, Mr. Broke his thumb but still did the backflip to front flip combo. Yeah, this guy's insane. These crusty videos came out in a time where it was thought that doing a backflip on a motorcycle was impossible. So all these clips were just filled with raw send it energy.
Ragdoll! Ragdoll!
Scenes that are forever etched into my memory would be the beginning scene of Krusty 3, where they skydive with a motorcycle just to ditch it and watch it plummet to the ground. Guys riding pit bikes and falling into the lake as you hear the music go. A man in the Australian outback chasing a kangaroo. A big man named Bubba who rides a pit bike off a diving board. Or him getting in a go-kart and falling off the second story of a parking garage, almost landing on his head. And this guy, doing a wheelie, because his bike reminds me of my dad's 1962 Vespa that hasn't been working for the last 25 years. These films were cool and not to be taken seriously, and the soundtrack matched that. The amount of times I hit rewind on these things just so I can watch it from start to end for the umpteenth time is the reason why those soundtracks are so important to me. Now let's go back to Skate and figure out why I dislike Skate 3's soundtrack so much. As I stated before, the first game/soundtrack I started listening to was Skate 1, but I didn't soak in all the music before I switched to Skate 2, where I fell in love with mostly every song. Staying on Skate 1 though, the soundtrack features a couple artists that I've already heard before, like Nirvana and the White Stripes. But it also introduced me to new music like N.W.A, Cheap Trick, Dead Prez, Gangstar, Rick Ross, and Motorhead. But you know a soundtrack is good when you're listening to a song that you would never hit play on in a million years. But once Bam Bam by Sister Nancy comes on, you can guarantee I'll be singing. In all honesty, I only recognize a third of the Skate 1 soundtrack, but once we get to Skate 2, that's when my brain starts to tingle. Skate 2 came with recurring artists from my childhood: Rage Against the Machine, Black Sabbath, Suicidal Tendencies, and The Clash. Rage Against the Machine is only in my memory because Killing in the Name was played a lot on the radio. Black Sabbath is more nostalgic, where my dad had the Paranoid album on CD and he would play it a lot on road trips. Suicidal Tendencies also came from road trips, but only one song stuck out to me, and that was Institutionalized, only because his mom wouldn't give him. And The Clash, which comes from a very specific moment as a child when I was watching the Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys crossover, Rugrats Go Wild, where Angelica and Debbie went for a joyride in the camper when Should I Stay or Should I Go started playing. Should I stay or should I go? But my god, did Skate 2 deliver on bangers that I would have never heard otherwise.
Rooftop like we bringing 88 back. They shooting. Thank you for letting me be myself again. Smoke on the mic like smoking Joe Frazier, the Hellraiser, raising hell with the flavor.
And if Skate as a whole had a flagship song that carried it around everywhere it went, it would most definitely be Harder Than You Think by Public Enemy. This song goes so hard, so energetic, so hyper, feel good, uplifting, adjectives for positivity that it makes me want to get off my ass and learn how to skate. Alright, it's raining. I tried. Now on to Skate 3, and in my honest opinion, Skate 3 has no bangers. Delete that paragraph, angry commenter 187, because I'm not done. Case in point, Party Hard by The Perceptionist.
Tell the party people who you are. Dude, my name is Chuck and I like to party hard.
Who likes this song? Okay, I'm joking, but hear me out. Skate 3 does have bangers, but not for me. Taste in music is very suggestive, and there are plenty of people on this planet who believe that Skate 3 has one of the best soundtracks in all of video game history. And I won't take that away from you. I, however, have 3 reasons why I don't like the Skate 3 soundtrack. Reason number 1. When I played Skate for the first time from 2008 to 2010, I played it as a casual player. But today, I am not a casual player, but a content creator for the franchise. And as a content creator, I cannot play copyrighted music for more than 5 seconds without YouTube swatting my house and taking all my possessions. I'm kidding, that's not what happens. Instead, they put a big yellow stamp on my forehead. This symbol is every YouTuber's nightmare. And before you claim I'm only making videos for the money, I'd like to say paying bills and eating food is a great priority to have. With a spotty upload schedule that gets decent views, I'm not exactly cash in at $100,000 checks. I make below minimum wage. Reason number 2, I didn't stick with Skate 3 as long as I had with Skate 2. What I mean is, I was a day one player, but as a 13-year-old, the only thing I found fun was big air, Hall of Meat Points, and breaking the game. Skate 1 was my first introduction to the series, so I had no biases towards it. Only gratitude for letting me play a skating game in another way than Tony Hawk. Skate 2 just upped everything from Skate 1 by adding an offboard feature, movable objects, more tricks, and a Hall of Meat mode, which 12-year-old me really enjoyed. Skate 3. Skate parks and underflips. Those were the only two things that 13-year-old me saw as an improvement from Skate 2. Yes, you can get big air, yes, you can rack up all the Hall of Meat points you want, and yes, the game is broken beyond repair. As of now. When I was playing Skate 2, the community for glitch hunting was moving fast. They found the no-comply bail glitch, the crazy leg bail glitch, a snowboarding glitch, the 360 hard flip pop, which was from Skate 1, but it exists in Skate 2, and my most favorite glitch, the accurately named 2009 terminology glitch, the Kush Pop, allowing players to get more air than ever thought needed. But once Skate 3 came out, the only glitches people found were a speed glitch that took too long to set up and the 3-shove bounce glitch, where it was patched later. As months went by, nothing notable glitch-wise was discovered, and my interest in the game began to dwindle. I wasn't into hippie flips, for it took way more skill than I thought. I wasn't really creative, so wanting to build my own skate park didn't seem fun. And I also didn't have access to Xbox Live at the time. By not having it, I missed out on a lot of key features like skate teams, create a graphic, and DLC maps. I couldn't meet the like-minded people because I couldn't connect to EA servers. There were no exterior factors keeping me from staying on this game, so as October rolled around, I found Halo Reach on sale for $40 at a Best Buy, and that became my new interest. Not having much time spent on the game meant I didn't become quite familiar with the game's soundtrack. It also didn't help I was only allowed to play video games from Friday to Sunday, with 3 to 4 hours a day, because I had reasonable parents with reasonable rules. A couple years go by, and more glitches were found, and my interest in Skate 3 peaked once again, where I discovered there was still an active player base in 2013. As time goes on, I fall into reason number 1, as a content creator not being able to listen to music. Now for reason number 3, and this is the most important one. This argument might actually change how you see, or how you hear the soundtrack from now on. And it's based on its setting. No, not that setting. That's the Hall of Meat setting, we keep that off. No, that's the difficulty setting, you keep that however you like. No, that's the sound set. Wait, why you turn up the volume music? You can't do that, I'm gonna get a copyright claim. Stop, stop! The setting, as in location, the area, the vibe. Not saying Port Carverton is a bad area, but I am. But how the world is made in contrast to the music choice of the game. Skate 1's world was most grounded to reality out of the 3. It was the first game to challenge Tony Hawk in a more realistic approach. The map layout had to match that. Skate 2 knew it could do better, go bigger, be more expressive, and it did. Skate 1 had to prove something, Skate 2 had to prove it wasn't a fluke. Skate 3, well, it came in knowing it was hot shit. The most anticipated skateboarding game came out, and it delivered. But no one likes a person who knows that they are all that. And that's what Skate 3 is. It knows that it's all that, but it happens to fail on one important thing. The environment. I don't know what it is. The map layout itself, the odd choice to divide the world into 3 different districts, or the fact that the sky is consistently blue with no change in time. But the other games don't have day cycles. Look, all I'm saying is that the SV Peak and the waterfront have a different feel to the sky than industrial and downtown. Even Skate 1 had this mid-morning feel in the suburbs. Going downtown made it feel midday, and going into Old Town always had a sense of overcast. Skate 3 feels like it was made in the Stanley Parable universe. Boring, bland, and liminally spaced. Boring and bland only worked for Stanley Parable, for it only made the unexpected adventure Stanley would go on to be more bizarre and fun. In Skate 3, you are expecting to go on a gnarly adventure. It isn't a surprise. Skate 3 feels very suit and tie in how the world looks and feels. It's like you would rather start day trading and market watching rather than going to a local club and playing music with his friends. Look, even Skate It showed up, and he's self-conscious about his wart growing on his face. Using some examples that Dies used in his critically acclaimed video, Skate 2 is better than Skate 3, to more accurately drive my point that Skate 3 just feels empty. In Skate 2, there are skate stoppers, pools to be drained, and security to punch. Steam coming from the ground out of the sewage vents, street construction to add to the feel that the world is ever-changing, the odd scaling of things, and better detail to texture and design. Hey look, a catwalk. Why is it so small? There is an argument that you are dead in Skate 3, and that Port Carverton is just a skater's paradise. But I'd argue what part of this world is a skater's paradise? Sure, everything is skatable, from the city's drain system to the abandoned hole that is Quarry, to the strip mall that is Allmart, and the biggest area you would find that is Megapark. Even adding super and ultra prefixes to the name, which encapsulate how ridiculous this park really is. But at any moment, did you see this and say, yeah, that's what skating is, without noticing the lack of character that these spots leave behind after a group of skaters shred the fuck out of them? Maybe for industrial, just for how grainy and rusty everything looks, but for downtown and university, it looks like skating never existed, besides the graffiti that is spray painted all along the ditch and pools. That's just one detail. There is no water in any of these pools at the Daily Estates because there is no flowing water into the city. There is a water crisis going on, and no one's talking about it because you don't need water when you're dead. Drop that water bottle, pedestrian. I know nothing is in there. What I'm trying to get at, the songs that are used in Skate 3 don't match its environment. I'll even go back to those crusty videos I talked about earlier. Umbabarauma, the Soulfky song, was used when they were in Costa Rica, which is not exactly Brazil, but you can make a claim that it has similar climate to it. Okay, that was a weak argument. But Opium by Moonspell was used when they were in France, and they were showcasing gothic castles and structures in places where you would most likely find a vampire. Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf took place in Brazil, but they were in the jungle, where things tend to get wild. And Clean Cut American Kid by Ill Repute, only because Travis was a clean-cut American kid and only got in trouble when he was riding his motorcycle.
This is the stunt that cost Travis Pastrana his $10,000 first place prize money.
As for SSX3, they just nailed it. It's just goated. That's all I really have to say. It's just amazing. Going back to Skate 3, the most popular song that I have seen when referencing Skate 3 that is not Even Flow by Pearl Jam, but Going Up the Country by Canned Heat. The amount of TikToks I've seen when people referencing Skate 3 when actually skating or recreating a speed glitch through clever editing is not much, but more than I would think. Out of all the songs in the soundtrack, for some reason people tend to be attracted to this one song. This song does not do it for me, just because of the environment. Here, I'll even do a cross comparison to bring my argument closer to home. I'll play songs from the Skate 3 soundtrack, and you tell me where these songs fit better.
I've been in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time.
Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, and shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away.
Racing my veins, it's calling me. Racing along these arteries and love.
Each of these songs I think are great, but are just in the wrong setting. Why I like Skate 2 over Skate 3 is because most songs that are used for both games come from before the year 2000. And for Skate 2, the setting feels like it's a weird cross between modern day and late 80s, early 90s. While Skate 3 looks like its menu. Safe and boring. I really feel like I'm using a T-Mobile app. In conclusion, I didn't spend much time getting used to the songs, and it didn't help that Skate 3 didn't match the energy that those songs were pushing out. And now that I'm a content creator, I can't enjoy them in risk of getting a copyright claim. Skate 3 doesn't have a bad soundtrack, I just dislike it. But you know what soundtrack will always be a banger? This outro song.